Hi, everybody. Welcome to This Week in the ACCC. I'm Robert Williamson. It's another busy week. We've got baseball, softball, basketball, obviously, to talk about, and heck, we might even toss in a little tennis, too. So let's get right into this week's show. In basketball, over the course of the last few days, women's basketball to begin with in the ACCC, Southern Union an 86-69 winner over Wallace Community College at Selma. 3 19-point scores for Southern Union to lead the way. Wallace State Hansville a 74-71 victor over Snead State. Gabby Hill with 18 to lead the Lions. It was Shelton State big win over Gadsden State 97-39. Raven Russell with 23 for the Lady Bucks in the victory. And then on Saturday, a game seen right here on the ACCC Sports Network. Lawson State victorious over Faulkner State 73-69. Those two teams met in Birmingham on the 8th of December. It was a 21-point victory on that particular day for Lawson State. The margin narrowed, but still a Cougar win, 73-69. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings for the ladies in the ACCC. Atop the division in the north, and winners of 8 in a row, Shelton State. Very impressive at 5-0. The 9th-ranked Lady Bucks have only lost a couple of games this year. They came back-to-back in between Christmas and the New Year's, and they came to then-ranked schools in the nation. Not far behind, though, Wallace State Hansville sporting that record of 3-1. Over in the South Division, another unbeaten squad. Chatton Valley, 6-0. They are on a winning streak of their own. They have won 5 in a row. Meanwhile, at 5-1 is Alabama Southern. Men's basketball. Since Thursday, Marion Military Institute coming away with a 73-56 victory over Lawson State. Lawson State was the unbeaten team, the only one in the North Division, but MMI has changed that with a victory on Thursday. It was Faulkner State, an 88-71 winner over Jefferson Davis. Meanwhile, Wallace State Hansville stays in the thick of things in the race in the North Division with that 78-68 win over Snead State. Shelton State losing to Gadsden State, an upset as Gadsden State comes away a 75-69 winner. Wallace at Selma, an 88-57 victor over Southern Union. And then the game that was seen right here on the ACCC Sports Network, it was Lawson State, an 89-84 victor over Faulkner State, avenging a loss in December in Birmingham when Lawson State lost at the buzzer. Topsy-turvy week in the North Division of the ACCC. MMI losing to Shelton State. Shelton State losing to Gadsden State. MMI, they lose to Snead State. Snead State gets beat by Shelton State. Just a really topsy-turvy week in the ACCC, especially the North Division. Now let's take a look at that North Division, and there you'll see, after all the topsy-turviness, Lawson State is still atop the division at 5-1. Not far behind, though, Marion Military Institute and Wallace Hansville with those 4-2 records. Meanwhile, in the South Division of the ACCC, Alabama Southern, impressive. Winners of 10 in a row, and 7 of the 10 have been in the division. And they are atop the division at 7-0. Bishop, and make that Bishop State, number 2 with a 5-2 record. So everybody now has played everybody once in both the North and South Division of the ACCC. We're getting into that second round of play coming up this week. And by the way, speaking of this week, we'll talk about the game of the week, which you could very well be watching at the playing of this week in the ACCC. We'll do that near the end of the broadcast. That's got you covered in basketball. Why don't we take a look at softball and baseball when we return? Got to go to the break first. We'll be right back with more of This Week in the ACCC after this. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in the ACCC. I mentioned softball. I mentioned baseball. It's that part of the year where we're blending a lot of sports. Softball getting into full swing over the course of the weekend. And the big story in the ACCC is a team that did not fare well last year. But boy, are they making amends this year. Marion Military Institute is now 5-1. They get a couple of wins, one of only two teams in the ACCC to go unbeaten over the weekend as they win a pair of games over some Mississippi JUCOs, beating Southwest Mississippi and Holmes Community College. They are now 5-1 on the year. That's after a 2-34 2016 campaign. The other team that went unbeaten over the weekend, Wallace-Dothan. They pick up a pair of victories and do it over LaGrange. What about baseball? It's in full swing as well. You had 4 ACCC teams go unbeaten on Friday and Saturday. Of course, it's all out of conference play currently. Chat Valley, 2-0. LBW, Lawson State, Wallace State, Hansville, all perfect on Friday and Saturday, going 2-0 overall. While we're talking about baseball, why don't we take a look? We mentioned the NJCAA polls in our last show. We can show you those polls. Let's take a look at the preseason baseball polls in the NJCAA. Number 1 team is Yavapai, but you got a couple of ACCC teams in the top 20. Chat Valley is the number 6 ranked team. Of course, they opened the season with a loss to East Georgia, but have certainly rebounded since with 4 straight victories. And Shelton State, which hasn't played baseball yet, they are ranked number 18 in the nation. Of course, those are your preseason NJCAA polls. Tennis. Let's talk just a tad about tennis. Why is that significant? Well, first of all, obviously the sport is, but what makes it extra so is that Wallace State is again playing tennis. Wallace State Hansville, their women's team hosted Snead State on Saturday. That marked the first time since 2004 that the Lions have fielded a tennis team. The first combined home match for both the men and women happened on Friday when they take on Meridian Community College. So now in women's tennis in the ACCC, you've got Wallace State, Hansville, Snead State, Central Alabama, Faulkner State, and MMI. Meanwhile, on the men's side, Wallace State joins Faulkner State, Gadsden State, and Marion Military Institute with tennis teams. Let's come back, wrap things up. We'll do that right after we break on This Week in the ACCC. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Final segment of This Week in the ACCC. Today, we are in Enterprise, Alabama. Alabama Southern taking on the Boll Weevils of Enterprise State. 5:30 for the ladies, 7:30 for the men. You just might be watching this at the half of one or the other, the men or women's game. By the way, if you're not and you want to watch it again, this is available on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the JockJive YouTube channel to see these shows and other stuff, including some games that we will get into in a week or so, all on our YouTube channel. And while we're at it, might as well remind you that you can like us on Twitter, and you can also like us on Facebook. So Twitter, there you see, at JockJive. Facebook, just put JockJive in the search engine. We get you all kinds of information related to not only what we're doing in the ACCC, but what we are doing overall as well. I mentioned the game of the week, Alabama Southern and Enterprise State playing today. The game of the week next week, it's a rematch of Shelton State and MMI. Shelton State beat Marion Military Institute a couple of weeks back. Well, we are traveling to a new spot, Marion Military, as the two teams will meet once more. Will MMI get revenge, or will it be a Shelton State sweep? We will find out in the next game of the week. that happens on the 16th of February. Don't forget, baseball coming up at the conclusion, and softball at the conclusion of the basketball state tournament in March. That's when we get into those games of the week. And we're hoping that by this week's end, we'll be able to get you a schedule of games so you'll know exactly when to tune in and where we will be. Where we will be tonight, Enterprise, we will come back next week, have another edition of this program for you. Join us then. So long for this edition of This Week in the ACCC. James Crenshaw has been your executive producer. I'm Robert Williamson. Thanks for watching.